What is going on, Reggie? We live, man. Everything good?
What's going on, Mr. 411?
Yes, sir. Reggie is in the
Yep,
house.
everything's good on my side, man.
That's right. Happy New Year to you, man.
Happy New Year, all them holidays we missed, man. Christmas,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
They-
been a while, yeah.
Halloween, what up? Everything. But hey, man,
Yeah,
long
we
time no
still
see.
kicking,
But
so we're still good. Yeah, we
that's
still,
it,
it's
man. That's
all
what.
good.
Yes, sir. That's what matters. And man, that's it, man. You know, it's Monday night. Ladies and gentlemen, today is January the 9th, 2023. Man, already. But yeah, it's Monday night, and tonight is Monday Night Raw, actually. So I'm gonna have that on my screen, but not gonna really be
Yeah,
into it right now. The DVR is working, so I'll be able to catch up on some things. But me and Reggie was chopping it up, and we got to thinking about. I mean, Reggie brought up a good point, and that was about. He's like, hey man, you know about a wrestler that is underrated or underappreciated, not really talked about like that wrestler should be, he or she. And
right.
so what we're going to do is after the intro, we're going to come back and talk about that wrestler. And so we'll everybody buckle up, get ready for this one. This is Turnbuckle Talk, our wrestling show. Hang in there, we'll be right back. Man, we are back. My boy Reggie is in the house. Man, I found out this you was a wrestling fan, and then he's like, "Man, I'm a wrestling fan. Like, good man, we could chop it up." So, and you're a student of the sport, and so man, we had to do this, man. So we had to get in the ring at Turnbuckle
Right.
Talk and talk about it, man. So let everybody know what we was getting into, Reggie.
Well, I was watching some old school wrestling films last night, and I think I came upon the debut of this particular wrestler, and I was like, he's been in the
Hmm.
game for a minute, and
Okay.
people don't give him his credit. And that wrestler was Kofi Kingston. And
Yes,
then I
sir.
started to think, I was like, let me look up his resume. And I looked
Okay.
up his resume. Of course, nowadays, P fans will know him from the New Day. So
Hmm.
people know him from the New Day. And of course, they're historically, before the Usos, this last couple of months, had the longest tag team championship run and held the belts, I think like 14 or 15 times, maybe more.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it. I was like, we're not just looking at that. Kofi's had this run, and actually, coming to speak about it right now, he's an NXT Tag Team Champion.
Yes,
He
sir.
had the he's had the NXT Championship, the World Champions Tag Team Championships on numerous times,
Hmm.
Intercontinental Championship on numerous times, U.S. Championships on numerous times, and he also, of course, with Kofi Mania, he was a World Champion. So I'm like, do we really appreciate this guy? Are we really looking at what he's doing? Or is it just because the New Day is one of those fun loving tag teams, we don't take him as serious? But this guy's resume is really up there with some of the greats, and some of our greats, his resume is even better than theirs.
Yes.
So are we really taking in consideration what we're looking at? A future Hall of Famer, no doubt,
Yep.
and he'll be in there as a singles wrestler and, of course, as a tag team wrestler. But we really need to sit back and put him up there uh, with maybe the Shawn Michaels, the Hulk Hogan's, the Ric Flairs. Of course, he doesn't have those many single championship world title reigns as
Right.
they did, but just what he's done alone puts him up there. At least you got to give him at least top 20,
Oh,
25,
that's too easy.
if
That's
not
too
more,
easy.
if not higher,
Yeah.
if not higher.
Yeah, that's too easy. And our wrestling Rolodex can go back, so far. There's probably those who will say, the Bruno Sammartinos and wrestlers back in those days that, I just missed. But even if you could add in a Bruno San Martino and some other great ones, Kofi would
Right.
still make that top 20 in my opinion, because of all the accolades that you just named. I mean, and look, the first time, like they're the first ever trios as far as tag teams winning, as you mentioned, NXT just recently, the
Hmm.
SmackDown, and also winning the Raw Tag Championships. So they won all three. You know what I mean? And they're
Right.
doing
Right.
it. And the thing about Kofi is he still puts on great matches. When I tune in to, like right now, he's over at NXT, doing a great thing, by the way, because that's something else I want to talk
Hmm.
about in a minute. But he's also doing banger of matches with the young guys in NXT and raising their profile, because that tag team
Right. Right.
pretty deadly. One day they're gonna be in the mix, on the Raw and SmackDown rosters, and people gonna be
Hmm.
wondering like, who are these guys? But
Right.
they're getting major experience right now, going up against the New Day, having to have the verbal judo with them and do all the promos and things like that with the New Day. And man, the match that match when the New Day did win the championships from NXT titles from Pretty Deadly, that was
Hmm.
a very good match, and it was entertaining. And I got caught into it, and with the false finishes and everything, I wasn't sure who was gonna win,
Right.
until it was over. You couldn't
Right.
figure it out. And that's good wrestling, you know what I'm saying? And entertaining as well. And that's what I like about Kofi too. He's entertaining. He's great with the aerial tactics. He's great with his
Hmm.
counter moves. He again, he keeps the crowd engaged. You're gonna hang in there with him because you're going on this ride, and it's just really good, man. That I'm glad you brought him up because he is definitely one of those underrated wrestlers, great wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
We talk about people like Shawn Michaels and Sting, how they're a pillar of the like WCW and WWF. But if you look at it, Kofi's been a long time WWF,
Yep.
WWE guy. He
Yep.
is a company guy. He's
Yep.
not straight away from that at all. And I'm not sure even WWE looks at that. Like this guy has really stood the test of time for your company, like a Shawn
Yeah.
Michaels or an Undertaker.
Yeah.
It's just something crazy. And you got to picture him up there. The guy looks like he's still 20 something.
Yeah. Yeah. And still in the mix. You know what I mean? Like, uh,
Right.
currently a champion was. Oh, by the way, just a couple months ago, the Usos and the New Day, when the Usos broke the
Hmm.
streak of the New Day. Well,
Right.
they broke it right after that, like a couple days later. But that Friday night was like that last title defense before to determine if the Usos will break that record.
We'll break the record.
With
Right.
with
Right.
Right, and which is Kofi Kingston, the New Day's record tag team champions, consecutive days holding the title. That match was a banger of a match as well.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that
I
tag
thought
team
actually
match.
thought the New Day was going to win.
Yeah, again, thought they were gonna win. I mean, it was exciting, and like you said, he hasn't aged a bit, and the move sets, everything that he does is still on point. It's not like he's deteriorating at any point. And we haven't even
Right.
talked about this too, Reggie. The Royal Rumble that's coming up in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, the Royal Rumble, and we know Kofi Kingston is known for being in the Royal Rumble, doing
Right.
amazing, amazing things, making sure that he doesn't land with 2 feet on the floor. And
Right. Right. You
so,
look for that. That's a spot that you look for every Royal Rumble.
right. So Kofi, he knows how to keep himself relevant. Oh
Hmm.
man, it is just great stuff. Me and my son watched one of the episodes of SmackDown during the Christmas holiday. That episode, and they came out of the box like they were Nutcracker characters.
Oh
I don't know if
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you remember that.
yeah.
Like, I
I
mean,
seen
they weren't
that.
even in the match. You know what I'm saying? Like scheduled to wrestle in the match, but they found their way to be entertaining, even when they
Right.
wasn't actually wrestling in the match. When it was that Miracle on 34th Street Brawl match,
Hmm.
which they made that entertaining. Like these guys are great, man. The New Day are
Right.
excellent faction.
it's like they pay homage to cosplays, video games. They put all of
Mm-hmm.
that to keep the fans involved. They always on top of their characters, making their characters better and better each each every time they go to the ring. It's something new with them. It's a different entrance or something
Yeah.
to keep the fans involved.
Yep. Different outfits. And by the way, Kofi's wearing, the Jordans and everything too. And I know that's your
Right,
brand
right.
right there.
Right, he keeps up with the culture and everything. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if they. Of course, we living in the microwave era. Everything every day is something new, but we have
Yeah.
to take time to appreciate these guys. And I just thought Kofi is one that really needs a spotlight on him. I'm glad they did go with Kofi Mania and
Yep.
did what he actually did. I mean, his time actually come around because he was a hard worker and he deserved it. He
Yeah.
didn't deserve that 8 minute squash that they did with Brock Lesnar with no rematch. I'm gonna say that he didn't deserve that part. But still, they still like a month later they reward him with another championship. So they
Yep.
know what they got and they appreciate Kofi. I'm sure they appreciate him, but it
Yeah.
is just a thing where I think even a bigger light needs to be shined on Kofi and the New
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah. And I referee basketball, so there's a lot of things that that there's several refs that do it. But there's an emphasis, even more of an emphasis that's needed in giving back. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
when and meaning by that is like, you've been in the game for a minute, you see some other ones coming up, and you want to give back. You want to,
Right.
pick up or give back on some things that you learned and
Hmm.
pass that on to the next generation of
Right. Right.
officials
Right.
in this case, so that they may not have to go through some of the speed bumps that I had to go through, or some of the,
Right. Right.
the
Right.
walls I had to jump over, and make things a little better for them. And hopefully they'll continue to do that for the next gen. And with
Right.
Kofi going back to NXT, I'm enjoying this because they're interacting and working with all these tag teams that are there, that
Hmm.
eventually are going to be the tag teams that are on, Monday nights and Friday nights. And for them to go there, and
Right.
do that, you know what I mean? And then still turn around and come out and show up on SmackDown and do a match. You saw the match he had with Escobar. That was an awesome match Friday night. Santos. And it was a one-on-one match, a qualifier type match. And but Kofi again, put on a great match, and that the opponent shined. You know what I'm saying, in that match. And Kofi is not hurt by losing the match.
Right.
You know what I mean? He put up a great fight. They had, obviously they cheated to win.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
kind of thing. But it doesn't hurt Kofi one bit. But that match was excellent, man. It could have been a pay-per-view match, and that's what Kofi does, man. Here's
Yeah,
a here's an
he puts on
image.
a show every time it goes out.
Yes, sir. And here's an image
Wow.
of all these titles. You know what I mean? I think we even leaving off titles. He might have had the
Wow.
European. We have to go back and look, but
Right,
you
right.
know, but Kofi's done it, man. He's done it all. And so this is a guy, as you stated earlier, he is WWE. He came up through the through the system down in Florida, right? They came up through the
Hmm.
system there before, and I'm talking about the system right before the NXT.
OVO, was it OVO?
Man, the name of it just slipped me. We'll get it on here though. But it was the Florida
Mhm.
wrestling where Dusty Rhodes was.
Yeah, yeah. Right,
They hired
right
Dusty
before
Rhodes to train
NXT.
the guys. Yeah, right
Hmm.
before NXT, and it was
Hmm.
because the OVW, right, the
Oh,
Ohio Valley, that was like Batista, Cena,
right,
uh,
right, right. Gotcha,
you
gotcha,
know,
gotcha.
all those guys. Shelton Benjamin, who by the way looks great. We may need to talk about him one day too.
Right. He just
Randy
celebrated 20
Orton.
years, I think.
Yep, he sure did. Randy Orton, like all those guys came up through the OVW, but then you had the Florida system where you had the Roman Reigns, uh,
Roman Reigns
you
came from that. Hmm.
right, Kofi, Big E. I mean, you can go through all of what's the other one that just slipped me? Oh, the faction, the Shield. So you had the whole Shield. They came up through there. They wasn't the Shield at that time, but when they all came up
Right,
to
right.
WWE to the roster, the Raw roster, they became the Shield. But Roman Reigns and who's the one that's in AEW right now?
He
Uh,
goes by John Moxley, but right now it
Moxley,
was
yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot what he went
yeah.
with the
So
shield.
Moxley, yeah,
Mhm.
all those guys, they all came up through there, and Kofi was right there with them. And like, man, to see that thing still going on is something else. And so
Right.
I'm gonna ask.
Even with
I'm, oh, go ahead,
I'm
bro.
sorry to cut you off. Even
No, you good, bro.
Big E and even with Big E and what's the other guy in New Day? What's his name?
Oh, King
Uh
Woods, Xavier Woods.
yeah, Xavier Woods. Even with them, those guys are kind of way younger than Kofi. So Kofi's passing that experience on to them.
Very good
So
point.
they're gonna keep it going for him also. That's a part of history, his legacy.
Yep, that is a good point. And a lot of people may not realize that at one time Big E was a heel, right? And in WWE when he moved up into the main roster, as they say.
Right. He
Um,
actually was with Dolph
Dolph
Ziggler.
Ziggler. Yep. He was like the
Hmm.
muscle for Dolph Ziggler, didn't say too much.
Right.
Then eventually they formed the New Day, and we could talk about that in just a minute. But speaking of heel, right? The New Day,
Hmm.
when they formed that faction, they initially were a heel. And for those who don't know what a heel is the bad guy, right? That's the
Actually,
right.
TJ, I think you might be wrong. I
Oh, help
think
me
they
out.
were. I think they were actually a babyface, but the crowd didn't like them,
Turned
so
on
they
him.
turned heel, and that's when they
Okay.
became big.
All right. Well, thank you for that because
Yeah.
you're right because they did turn on him. So when the audience turned on, didn't like what they were doing initially, they did flip it to heel, and
Hmm.
then they
They just
got the
fed
crowd to
into it.
got back with
Hmm.
it, and then they turned them back around. You're absolutely right on that. But yeah, but the thing is, man, they stuck with it. You know what I mean? They stuck
Hmm.
with it. It
Right.
may not have worked right away, but they hung in there. They figured out a way, and now, I mean, as you said earlier, one of the most lovable characters that you will ever see. You know what I'm saying? I can't see Kofi as a heel.
I
You
was
know what
about to
I'm
ask you, has he ever been a heel besides
saying?
outside of the New Day?
For my recollection, no. Remember he was the Jamaican
Right.
accent, and that he was not a heel then, and ever since from that point, outside of the New Day, going through there, I think it was around
Hmm.
2014, 2015 when they were a heel, basically,
Right.
a little bit, and they were doing some of the similar things. But they were just doing it in a way that was more irritating. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. I
To
think
the to,
I read somewhere or seen a video. I don't know how true it is, but they said that Xavier Woods went to Vince McMahon and told him that if it didn't work, he could fire. If the
wow.
idea of the New Day didn't work, he could fire. He was
Hmm.
just that into the idea. He knew it would eventually get over.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That and
And
to
what?
go to McMahon and say something like that, you know what
Right,
I mean?
right, right.
You
Because you're
really
gonna put
you
your money
really
where your
putting
mouth
that.
is.
You're gonna have to,
You're gonna
you
have to
know.
put your money where your mouth is. Well, my
Yeah.
thing is, I said one day they have to give Xavier Woods a championship. They have to give it to him just to complete that trilogy of all three of them having the
Oh
world
wow.
title. It would be awesome. That would be awesome.
You know, it's not over. The story's not over, and
Right, right.
anything can happen in professional wrestling. Because matter of fact, let's spin it back to that, and then we need to talk about that too with Xavier Woods because we need to talk about the King of the Ring, if you will. But before we
Mm-hmm.
do that, you remember we talked about Kofi Mania. That initially was going to go to Mustafa
Mustafa
Ali,
Ali. Right.
right? And I think he got injured or
Mhm.
something like that. And so
Right. He got
then,
injured right before the elimination chamber.
correct, there you go. And then that's when Kofi stepped in. The crowd was I mean, they were all in with him. And
Hmm.
Vince McMahon was a part of the storyline where, the whole storyline was about not giving up, you know what I'm saying, on your
Right. He
dream.
was the
He already
underdog.
had
He
been
was the
wrestling.
underdog.
Right, but he also has been in the WWE for so long, didn't have the opportunity to be in this type of storyline as far as being a champion, world champion,
Hmm.
all the way at the top. And not giving up on what you on your work. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that's stuff that I can relate to, in my own personal life with a
Right.
lot
We
of
all should
things.
be able to relate to that.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So that's what made that a great storyline. And then the deterrent, McMahon, the quarter, the boss, if you will,
Hmm.
stepping in, throwing all these things
Right.
in the
Keep
way,
stepping on you.
obstacles.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so that was excellent, man. I mean, yeah, the gauntlet matches and all that stuff that Kofi had to
Hmm.
go through. Then Woods and Big E had to win their match in order for
Right.
Kofi to get a chance. Like it was all these obstacles.
It was awesome. And then to flip it full circle,
Yeah,
he went against Daniel Bryan, and we
right.
all know Daniel Bryan had that same type of movement, which led
Yes.
to his WrestleMania moment. So that was a complete, just a great story.
Yeah. And another piece of this, Reggie, when you speak of Daniel Bryan, you speak of Kofi. They was in that title match, and they're not the biggest of guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
They
Hmm.
might be pushing like Daniel Bryan might be what 190
Right. Right.
maybe, and
220
Kofi's
at the most.
probably and Kofi, yeah, Kofi maybe 220. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? On a good day, he's probably
Right.
215. So like to not be the typical stature of especially a WWE champion, WWF,
Right. Right.
you
They're
go
not the Vince McMahon guys. They're not
right,
his typical guys that he likes.
right, like the Hogans, the Ultimate
Hmm.
Warriors, the
Ultimate
Cenas,
Warrior, even the Goldberg, Batistas.
Goldberg, Batista, Triple H, Rock.
Hmm.
We can go all the way back to Bruno Sammartino, guys who were big, you know what I mean? Like big, strong guys. So that for them to break that mold, for him to break that mold and be the world champion, to be on ESPN during his run and do all those different things and
Hmm.
promos and stuff like that, taking his title back to Ghana because he is from Ghana.
Right. He
You know,
he
his
sure did
parents
do that. Yep.
taking it back there to the people there and letting them see the belt and inspire, a whole country. You know,
Hmm.
that's some amazing stuff. And
Right.
that trend that's beyond the ring. That's worldwide. So this man has done
He
it.
was the first WWE Black African American WWE champion, right?
That is a great question, Reggie.
I think full. You can say
Af
full blooded because The Rock is technically African American,
and Samoan.
so and Samoan, but I think
But
Kofi was the first one that was
I'm gonna go with,
recognized because I think it was somebody else too back in the day.
well, as far as WWE, I think Kofi may have been because um The Rock doesn't claim black.
Right, right. He claims
Right?
his Samoan,
He
his
claims
mother
Samoan.
Samoan.
So since he
Mhm.
does that, which I have no problem with The Rock, he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I watch all his movies. I'm keeping up with the XFL, everything
Right,
Rock. I even buy the Zoa drinks. So I'm with Rock. But it's been documented that he claims, Samoan. And that's his
right, right,
choice. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And so
Because
like I think
they
Kofi
have
does
that
get that title.
legacy. They have that legacy. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Anawahu, I think Anawahu legacy. So I have no. Yeah, right. You're right. No problem
yeah,
with that.
yeah,
The reason I brought it up about Kofi is since Kofi's been the champion, it
yeah.
maybe gave Vince McMahon a second thought because right after that you had Bobby Lashley, then
Yep.
Big E turned around, won the championship right after that as well. So he kicked
Absolutely.
down doors. He kicked down doors.
Yep. Yep. That is excellent points, man, about Kofi. Man, this guy has done a lot, man, Reggie. So,
Right, right,
do
right.
you have do you have anything else listed as far as some of his accomplishments? Because we want to make sure
No,
we
no.
don't miss.
I just skimmed through them real quick. I didn't really go through them and check like how many times he won the titles or what he did before he came to WWE.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm sure the fans can go look it up. Like I said, he has a great resume.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm looking at an article now here. Kofi he's listed here as the first African-born champion. So we're gonna go with a yes there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so he is the first. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go with that. Anybody want to refute that? Please let us know in the comment section. You
Yeah,
can post
he could be
comments.
wrong, but I
Yeah,
think he is.
yep. And that's what it has listed here. And we're getting the producers to make sure we can get that on the screen. But there it is. And so we're gonna roll with that for now, until somebody else can come up with something else. Now, I'll tell you this story since since we're sitting here talking wrestling and history. But in the WWF, back
Mhm.
in the late 70s, early 80s, but I can't pinpoint exactly. I want to say early 80s to be on the safe side. Well,
Mhm.
Tony Atlas, Mr. USA, who by the way was the first black tag team champions in WWF with The Rock's father, Rocky Johnson. They were the Soul
Rocky
Patrol,
Johnson, right?
right? But
Mhm.
before that, Tony Atlas was actually supposed to, according to Vince McMahon, uh, Tony Atlas was going to defeat Hulk Hogan. He was going to
Oh,
be the
really?
champion back in the day. Yeah,
Really?
he was going to be.
Oh,
He wanted Tony Atlas to be a champion, the world champion. But Tony Atlas had a
mm,
lot of issues um, back in those days. So a lot
right.
of drug and a lot of other stuff off
Mhm.
outside the ring, personal issues that
Right,
didn't
right,
allow him to
right.
be in position mentally and physically to be in position to be the champion. So Tony
Right,
Atlas
and
may have
represent that.
had that.
So, right.
hmm So that
Wow, I didn't
also
know that.
shows you what Kofi. Yeah, so that also shows you what Kofi Kingston um, has done to be able to become that. You know what I mean? Because
Right, right.
you know he made a lot of good decisions outside the ring as well, so he could be in
Mhm.
position when your number is called. And that's
Right,
what I learned
exactly.
from Kofi. That's what I learned from him, man. It wasn't supposed to be for him at that time, but when his name was called,
He was
he was
ready.
ready to roll. And so
Mhm.
that's what we all can pick up in life. You know what I'm saying? So I know a
Right.
lot of people say, "Hey, man, wrestling ain't real." Wrestling's real, man.
Right.
Wrestling is real. Like
Mhm.
you're not gonna be able to tell anybody who understands wrestling that you can't say that it's not real. It's
Right.
real. You
It,
know what I'm
it,
saying?
it, it's real. It may be scripted, but it's
But it's
real.
real. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And sometimes they go into a match and it may supposed to end one way and it doesn't. So because some stuff really happened. So you just never know what is really gonna end up. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow, Mr. Furlong, the way that you just transitioned to something I was about to say. I
Oh.
also heard I also heard at one time he was
Okay.
about to get a push, but the
Okay.
incident happened with Randy Orton where he botched the ending of a match. You
hmm
remember the classic stupid, stupid, stupid.
Right.
The
Yes.
Randy, yeah. And they say that Randy Orton went to Vince McMahon, and that stopped Kofi's push back then.
Wow. Ain't that
Yeah,
something?
but his time, like you said, his time came, and he was ready.
Yeah.
He didn't complain
Man.
about it. Junk companies. He just kept going with it.
Yep. Yep. And that's something we all can learn from, man. And so, well, Kofi's a great guy. And I like the image of him when he won that championship too, where the family was in the ring,
Right,
brought the
right,
kids into
right,
the ring. The New Day, they
right.
crying for,
In
they really
tears.
crying
Right.
in tears.
Hmm.
Because again,
Right.
people have to understand it may be scripted, but you don't know until you know because things can change on the
Hmm.
fly,
Right.
so
And Vince
you
McMahon is
never
known
know.
for that. Hmm.
Yes, you never know. Quick story: Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3. I'm I heard the stories about you heard the stories about that
Hmm.
too, right? Where Hulk Hogan he
Hmm.
didn't know what was going to happen. He kept asking
Right.
Andre. He kept trying to go through some things, but Andre was like, basically just see you in the ring,
Hmm.
and that's all you can do with Andre. Is like
Right.
whatever he say goes, basically. So now as a kid, I didn't know all that was going on. But
Right.
later
Right.
on in years, when you hear the stories about it, it's like, wow. I mean, this thing could have went a whole different way. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, that's the business, man. So for Kofi to hang in there and persevere is great. Let's spin it back to Xavier Woods real quick, right?
Hmm.
One of the New Day members. You was mentioning that you want him to get a title. So you would one day you really want to see Xavier Woods with the world title.
with the
or are you
world
saying any
title. Yep.
title? Okay,
With
so
the
with the
no, with the
world
world
title,
title. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that can happen because
Yeah.
again, they already broke the mold. Daniel Bryant, Kofi, smaller guys, Rey Mysterio,
Right.
being a world champion. So I don't see why not. It'll be interesting. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
very good because Xavier Woods is good too. He's just as entertaining in my opinion.
Right, he is. He really is. And like I was saying, he is the brains behind the New Day.
Yeah, yeah, very
So
good.
I'm sure he can work his storyline. He's good on the mic. He's good in the ring. So I mean, I think he'll make a great champion.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, and I saw Xavier Woods in the airport one day.
Oh, really?
we actually took a picture, man. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. I seen
Cool,
him on the
cool.
airport, and you'd be surprised, like, man, you know what? I was like, you definitely not as big, you know what I'm saying, as I thought you were, but you know what I'm saying? Like I was saying to myself, but he's still a big guy, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. He still got some weight. He's athletic, big guy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But man, it's amazing, man, how them guys get it done. Going against those type of opponents that they go up against,
Right, right.
throughout their career. So yeah, it's good stuff, man.
And,
Good
and
stuff.
Will, while we're at it, Will wishes to Big E.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Hope Big E gets back in the ring, man. Health. Well, first of all, make sure you just stay healthy.
Healthy.
Uh,
Yeah.
let that
Hmm.
neck heal. But that isn't that the right understanding is that his neck just needs to heal on his own, basically, at this point.
Right, right, right. Hmm.
Yeah. So hopefully he can get back. If not, we know WWE gonna take care of him. He has a personality. He'll be able to do a lot of things with WWE.
Right,
Right now actually he's going around to the different
right. He
universities
he he
across the
he'll be a
country.
good.
Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
Right, I was about to say he'll be a good ambassador, like the role that Titus O'Neil took up. He'll
Yep.
be a good ambassador for that.
hmm Exactly. And right now WWE has that
Oh,
initiative
what?
where they go. The WWE has an initiative where they go to all the different universities and they put their brand out there. They're doing the NILs, like like how the football
Yeah,
players are
they're
doing
trying
the
to
NIL
recruit
deals.
people from college, right?
Right, they are, and they already have. Like they've
I see.
recruited.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah, they recruiting cheerleaders, softball players,
Oh,
football
really?
players, track and field shot putters. Like it's all kind of players that they already have signed to deals. They call it NIL, the
Hmm.
next level something, what they're doing.
Oh,
But
wow, wow, wow.
but what they do is they go around and they get the like they meet up with the different colleges, maybe a football team or softball, whatever sport, and then they just interact with them on campus. And then some of
Hmm.
the athletes are fortunate enough to where WWE will have them wear the merch, you know what I'm saying, represent
Right.
WWE while they're in school for the 4 years or plus.
That's
And
good because everybody's not going to be a superstar.
exactly.
That's that is great.
Yep. Yep. So they pushing
Did
their brand in
did
all the
they implement
colleges.
that under Vince or is that a Triple H thing?
Ugh, good question. I think it's more of a WWE thing. I would say because Triple H is more pushing the because you heard about him, right? He's pushing the where they're gonna have like a World Cup eventually at some point. They're setting up NXTs in different countries. So you have the NXT in Europe, right? You're gonna have the NXT over in Mexico. You're gonna have the NXT in Australia. You're gonna have NXT, and then they're gonna eventually make it where it's a World Cup type thing.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's,
a
it's
good
some big
idea,
things
and
coming.
that's a stolen idea too. But that's a
Yeah.
stolen idea too.
Hey.
I actually just looked at a video. There's another YouTube channel, Coachaholic or something. They actually put on the World Cup with
Yeah.
different countries.
Yeah.
So that would be big to put it on the big stage. Like,
hmm There you
well,
go.
I gotta look up that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. 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 We'll definitely chop into that. We'll dig into that too on our next episode. You know what I'm saying? We could deal into some stuff like that. But
Before
I
I
know you
let
want
you
to talk
go,
about something else.
yeah, I just
Go
wanted
ahead.
to test your wrestling knowledge. Then you can test mine.
Oh my
Did you
goodness.
know that the hometown that we live in here had a championship that was defended on Saturdays at the Macon City Auditorium back in the day, and one of the first
Wow.
people, the actually the first title holders was Abdullah the Butcher.
Really? Well, I didn't
Yep,
know that.
when we get off, I'll send you the. It's a whole Wikipedia page about it, actually.
Yeah, oh man, I got to see this, man. Send me this. Send me this information
Yeah,
that we can
yeah,
also.
yeah. A lot of people didn't know it. I was like, I stumbled. I forgot. I think I was looking up some stuff on the Doodle the Butcher, and I came across. I was like, making world title. What?
Yeah.
Yep, sure
Hey,
was.
man. And back in those days, the wrestling was like, it would go to your local town more often.
Right,
You
the
know what I'm saying?
territory days, the back
Right.
in the territory days,
Right. There you go.
and
And for those who don't know,
that's
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
we
Go ahead,
broke up.
Reggie.
I was gonna say
Okay.
when you have some extra time, there's a YouTube show when the fans can watch it also. It
Okay.
might be a Vice show. It's kind of like it's produced by The Rock. Matter of fact, it's called
Okay.
Tales from the Territories, and it goes back in the territory days. WCW, the one that Crockett Promotions, the Von
NWA,
Erichs, yeah, NWA. That was the last
WCCW,
one actually. Mhm.
World Class
All of those. It
Championship
covers all
Wrestling.
of them. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
AWA, UWF.
Yep. Covers
Okay.
all
All
of
that
those.
stuff.
You check it out.
Okay. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we'll get the link and we'll pin it to this show too on the YouTube link. We'll pin the link to that
Okay.
so that anybody want to click on it, they can do that too. Man, Abdul the Butcher, man, you really okay? I'm gonna do this. Now it's more of a did you know than anything
Hmm.
for me to you here. But did you know that I attended Kamala versus Hulk Hogan for the World Championship back in
Really?
1985, Madison Square Garden?
Are you serious?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I can see the people looking at me like I'm really shocked.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it was now, and I'm really digging back into the archives here, but it was either 85 to 86, right in there. But it was Kamala Hulk Hogan defending his title. I actually saw Hulk Hogan defend his title against Kamala.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
at Madison Square Garden, man. That was something else,
I,
So
I, I never seen Hulk Hogan at a show. I've seen Ric Flair. I've seen Sting.
yep.
Never seen Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, man, it's something else, man. With Hulk Hogan, one thing about Hogan now, I know a lot of people got on him during his heyday for a minute. The detractors, because
Hmm.
hey man, you get beat up, start shaking, do all that stuff, and win. But that man put butts in the seat. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
he had the fans behind him, and he also made it seem like he wasn't gonna win none of his matches, but then he ended up winning them. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like we thought he was going to win, but we knew he was
Yeah,
going to win.
right. And you
Like
just fell for it every time.
every
Yep.
time we fall that was something back in the day that was just it. It just had us glued to the TV. Like we
Yeah.
couldn't wait for him to hold up. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. And you might laugh at me. I'll tell you something.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you something personal. When I liked Ultimate Warrior, but when Ultimate
Yeah.
Warrior beat Hulk Hogan, I almost shed a tear.
What? Hey man.
I remember that day. I remember, back then we could afford the pay per view, but I caught it on
Yeah.
the VHS. And after he beat him, man, I had to go outside for a minute.
Oh
I was
man.
like, what's really going to happen with wrestling now? Because
Yeah.
that was just shocking that he had lost
Yeah.
like that.
I'm gonna get my boy Ladaro Barker on here.
Hmm.
Ladaro, he was my neighbor growing up. A lot of kids in the neighborhood, we all watch wrestling, right? We made our belts, we put aluminum foil on them. We went
Same
outside
thing
and
here,
had
man.
matches,
Same.
jumping off
Yeah.
the air conditioned unit. That's the top
Hmm.
rope. We did all that stuff, right? But we also, we would get to somebody's house. So I guess it
Hmm.
was my turn this time. WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan Warrior, Toronto, right?
The
Skydome.
side down. Yep.
And man, I don't know why we did it, but we all just turned like Warriors when Warrior. won, everybody went crazy. It was like it was crazy, like how everybody in there in the house in the den just went nuts
Right.
because
It
you
was
couldn't
just
believe,
so shocking.
yeah, you couldn't believe that Hulk Hogan actually lost straight up too. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
Like,
right. That's something like that was the first time for us seeing. I
yeah,
know
man.
before that Andre beat him at a Saturday night main event, but it was
Right,
that
the
double
controversial
referee.
finish.
Right,
Yep.
right. But to beat him clean, that fans, the young ones that's listening, that shocked us back then.
Yeah, yeah. It did.
That's
That
one of those
was
real
crazy.
wrestling moments. That's one of those real wrestling moments.
Yep. And you know what else, man? You keep bringing, you just bringing back some more memories. And we
Hmm.
haven't forgotten now. We talked about Kofi. We gave him his flowers, and now we're just kind of chopping it up. But Hulk Hogan actually mentioned that he wanted to turn heel after that match. Vince
Oh,
McMahon
really?
did not want him to turn heel.
Hmm.
I read it somewhere. I'm gonna try to find it, and I can pin that too. But he wanted to turn heel after the
Hmm.
match instead of doing what he did after the match, was what, just shake his hand,
Right,
hold his
right,
hand
right.
out, and leave. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to turn heel, and he felt like that would have helped the Ultimate Warrior
Hmm.
because
Right.
he would have had the American hero Hulk Hogan turning bad. Now the
Hmm.
Warrior would really be
Right. He
the
wouldn't
cut and dry
be
good guy. You know what
directly
I'm saying?
competing with him. That would have actually been a good idea.
Yeah. And so when McMahon didn't want to go with that because obviously all the merchandise and all the
Right.
Hulkamaniacs through all the years, I guess Vince didn't want to see that happen. But Hogan, I'm gonna give Hogan credit on that. He wanted to do that then. So what we see with
Hmm.
the NWO, what, years later, maybe half a decade or so later,
Right.
when we see the NWO, actually Hulk Hogan was gonna turn heel that night on the
Hmm.
Warrior, and then the Warrior would have went at Hogan would have went after the Warrior, which would have helped blow the Warrior up because in
Right.
the
Because
end,
you
Ultimate
got your
Warrior kind of
rematches
fizzed
then.
out.
Right. You got your
He kind
rematches
of
then.
fizzed out,
Hmm.
right? And
Uh,
another thing, Hulk Hogan was a heel. Hulk Hogan was a heel back in the late '70s with
right. Right.
Classic Freddie Blassie.
He was. He was. And that's during the
Yeah,
time he made that Rocky cameo.
exactly. Yes, sir. Man, it's a lot of good
Um,
stuff, Reggie.
right. I hate to turn this to a Hulk Hogan thing, but just move on. It's funny because I don't know what it is about Hogan because when he went to WCW and they we was talking about the last minute changes. They
Yeah.
said it came down to that last night for him to make the decision to
Hmm.
turn heel in WCW. The backup plan was always that Sting was going to turn heel, but he eventually went through with it. He said he had his manager on the phone crying to him that he shouldn't do this.
Wow. Look at that.
Like
Man, I
that,
did not know
that,
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 man.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know it's supposed to be Sting, right?
I did not know that.
You didn't
Seriously,
know
I
that?
didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It's supposed to be Sting to turn heel, but Hogan did go through it. In the end, he did go through with it.
Man, that was the best thing too, because
And
that was. I know Sting is a good, baby face and things, but Hulk
mhm.
Hogan was like the ultimate baby face, the ultimate fan
Right,
favorite.
right,
You know what I mean?
right, right.
So that's a
And
huge turn.
to be that ultimate baby face, you got to know that you're going to be the ultimate heel to make
Yeah.
that change. Like I've really never seen that. I know they say it used to happen back in the day with the Freebirds, but I
Yeah.
never seen fans throwing stuff in the ring because of what a wrestler did. Like they
Yeah.
almost rioted when he turned heel.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen glimpses of it. If you go to YouTube, type in WWE MSG, you'll see a lot of matches at Madison Square Garden where they throw stuff in the ring.
Hmm.
It wasn't at the rate like at what happened there. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
like the Iron Sheik would get in the ring, Nikolai Volkov,
Right.
the USA versus Iran and Russia and all that. But
You're
what you're
right. You're
saying
right.
is
You're right.
correct. But what you're saying is correct. Like that was like, I mean, the whole building just kind of just turned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That.
Like I haven't seen that much being thrown in the ring like that. Yeah, that was something
Well,
else,
in the
man.
modern day, we really never seen that happen like that. I think
Yeah,
I was watching an old War Games match. It used to happen with Flair and Dusty Rhodes. Of course, we down here in the
yeah,
South, we was invested in Dusty Rhodes, but it still wasn't on that level like it was with
yeah,
Hogan.
yeah. That was a huge. I mean, you're looking at a man that was what 20 plus years as the good guy. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And almost
Which
20 years as a
what he used to tell us to say our prayers, eat your vitamins, and
each
all that.
vitamins.
That
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yep. And to do that. So yeah, that was amazing, man. So before we get out of here, man, Kofi Kingston. Um, do you see him making another run, or do you see him
Um.
just kind of being like, maybe enough, maybe get an Intercontinental title, maybe get another
I
tag team
I think
championship?
I think he will get another singles championship, a U.S. or Intercontinental championship.
Okay.
Um, as far as the world title, I'm really not sure with that one because in my head, it's so many people they messed up when they. It was a good, not a gift and a curse combining those two belts with Roman
Yeah.
because they have missed out on so many people who elevated their game
Mm-hmm.
and could be title holders. Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens.
Yep.
A lot of people saying Cody's going to be next, but I think they should have kept them divided. But if they do go back to dividing the titles, I actually can see. Then I can see Kofi getting one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, man. We're gonna see, man. We're gonna stay in tune with all of it. And by the way, we got to talk about it. You mentioned the Freebirds, and that's something that
Mhm.
the New Day utilizes the Freebird rule. You want to explain that before we get out of here?
People, yeah, there's three people, and they can interchange to actually defend their titles or go against opponents. And I sometimes my memory of the Freebirds, and I knew it was some guys before this, but the best rendition of the Freebirds to me was Michael P.S. Hayes, Jimmy Jam
Yep.
Garden, and Terry Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yep.
And just the other
Gordy.
day, I
Yeah.
found out it
Bam
was some
Gordy.
people. Bam Bam Gordy. I'm sorry. Right, right. I said
Yeah.
Bigelow. That's a whole different person. But
That's a
yeah,
whole nother
Terry Bam
show.
Bam Gordy. Right, right. Terry Bam Bam Gordy, and
Yep.
they laid the foundation for that. Those the trios, and I actually think they started in AEW now. They have a trios title again.
Okay. Yeah. So like 6 man championship, something
Hmm.
6 man championship belts. Yeah. That's actually pretty cool, man.
Right,
And
right, right,
I think
right.
WWE should come up with a version of that as well. 'Cause if you think
Hmm.
about it, they'll put more airtime on wrestlers. There's a ton of
Right,
factions
right.
in WWE
I was
now, right?
exactly. I was about to say that. There's a ton of
Yeah.
factions, so just go ahead and reward the whole faction and
Yeah.
create more belts out there to defend.
Yeah, because if you have that, that'll actually, you have some more meaningful matches too. And like, I mean, you got the
Hmm.
God Phantasma, you got Bloodline, you got New Day, you got
Brawl and
Hit
Bruce.
Row. Yep, you got Hit
Hmm.
Row. Like, I mean, it's more than that. What's my boys now with the Intercontinental Champion? Imperium.
Gunter and Imperium. You're right, right.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, and there's more than that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
you could definitely put something together and have a good trios championship. That would be, obviously got to name it something else. You don't want to use the
Right,
same
right.
thing that AEW is using, but you can have something like that. That would be a great thing to have if they
Hmm.
ever decide to come up with some more belts.
Right.
Um,
Then you can use the wrestlers.
yeah, yep, be meaningful. I mean,
And
they could.
we'll probably touch on this. I really want to do another wrestling show with you because there's a storyline right now that I want to get your viewpoint on before the Rumble. That's
Okay.
the whole Bray Wyatt thing. I want to get you. Can you give me like 5 minutes on what you think about Bray Wyatt since he came back?
All right, man, we can do that. All right. So since he's come back, right?
Because I got it. I'm sorry, people about the time, but I just got to hear
No,
somebody else's opinion about this.
Okay, well, man, like I'm excited that he's back, right? I think he's a creative guy.
Hmm.
Um, I'm waiting to see how the what's going to be the difference between how he was before and how he is upon his return. The character seems kind of similar
Hmm.
right now, but this Uncle Howdy, right, that they're throwing in here, I'm waiting to figure out who this guy is. So that's good because you got me wanting to figure out something. And
Right, right.
so it's not as superficial as it was, you know what I'm saying, beforehand with the play at the fun
Hmm.
house and all that stuff. So
Right.
I'm just kind of not sure. I'm not sure which side of the fence he's on either. Is he gonna be a heel or face? You know what I'm saying? Like he's doing
Right.
heelish things, but he's a face going up uh against my man that's a heel.
LA Knight.
He just
LA Knight.
yeah, LA Knight, right? LA Knight switched to heel for sure, right?
Hmm.
So it's like I'm not sure which way they're going with it. As far as Bray Wyatt, I'm just kind of in a wait and see mode right now, man. That's
Gotcha.
really
I
where I'm
think
at.
I think that's how everybody is, but I can see now why Vince let
Hmm.
him go. I can see why
Okay.
Vince let him go because he is creative, but right
Yeah.
now it's like the storyline needs to move because right now he
Yeah.
has us in a creative bubble and it's moving a little bit too slow for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's moving so slow that the payoff going to have to be really big. And with the rumors and the dirt sheet saying Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas, that, that's not big enough for me.
Okay. Well, we'll find out who he is. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You're a dirt sheet guy. I'm not,
you're not a
but
dirt sheet guy. I'm a
I'm not.
Meltzer dirt sheet guy.
See what I am. I try my best to go back to my childhood days and just kind of just see what happens the next week.
Oh,
It's
really,
very
really?
hard.
Okay.
It's very hard though because of so much social media. You
Right.
might turn on something. You might turn on to your social media like page or something, and all of a sudden, bam! Here's you know what I'm saying. So I actually had to block some of the wrestling updates because
It
it
ruins your
would say
surprise.
something. Yeah, it would take it away because then when it's like, dang, so when it happens, then it's like, well, I knew it was about to happen. So I try to
Mhm.
stay away from it. Of course,
Right.
you never know how it's going to actually end up. They can pivot at
Mhm.
any time. But yeah, so but no, man, I think you're right about that. Something needs to start moving. And sometimes I'll say this too. I watch wrestling at times with people who also don't watch it all the time. And that was
Mhm.
one of the things that someone did say actually watching the Bray Wyatt was like, okay, when are we gonna get something else? Because like it just keeps going and it keeps going and keep talking, and then you
Mhm.
gotta wait for whoever it is in the smoke to come walking all the way down, and then like instead of like let's smooth this a little faster, that's all.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I agree with you on that. This Pitch Black, this Mountain Dew, sponsored by Mountain Dew, Pitch Black match.
I'm
Uh,
looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. It's
Mhm.
giving me Undertaker vibes. That's what he does give me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Since Undertaker's, not wrestling anymore. And so we'll see if he can at least fill that void and we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm gonna hang in there and see what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
man.
Gotcha.
Man, Reggie, Kofi Kingston is the man.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Yes, sir. Respect to Kofi Kingston.
yes, sir. And you're the man. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you being on here,
You too,
man.
sir. Appreciate the
We're
platform.
gonna anytime, man. Everybody hit that notification button. Hit that like and hit that subscription button. That way we can keep doing what we're doing here. And
Yes,
like I said, I'm
sir.
gonna get my boy Ladaro. I'm calling you out right now, Ladaro. You got to join us in Turnbuckle Talk. So, because he has a lot of history too with wrestling, and we can really chop it up. So, all
Right.
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 Well, let's try to get together then real soon so we can get
Okay.
into some more of these storylines.
All right. No problem. See you
All
soon,
right.
man.
Well, all right. Well, for Reggie, I'm Mr. 411. We thank everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you.
Peace.